RiffTrax. I don't have a good tracks, better riffs I'm missing. Why you always gotta pick RiffTrax? It's your lucky day, it's time for RiffTrax.
Hello, I'm Faith, and welcome to Faith's Take, where I talk about anything and everything that I find interesting. And welcome to episode 47 of Every RiffTrax Short Reviewed, where I take 5 RiffTrax shorts in chronological order, review them, and give them a rating between 1 and 5, with the points being good, great, awesome, fantastic, and spectacular, because I don't think a bad RiffTrax short exists. We're getting back into my favorite series once again, and this time around, we've got some fun crafts, some cranky toddlers, a random toad, and a classic mystery science short all in one episode. So let's just go ahead and dive into episode 47 of Every RiffTrax Short Reviewed. Number 231, Rediscovery Puppets, from September 26th, 2014.
A neck is added by forming a cylinder around the index finger.
Wait, ACI, cylinders is a different short.
At the base of the head.
Nothing better to start off an episode than our good old friends at the insane ACI company. And while this may not be part of the infamous At Your Fingertips series, it may as well be. Why? Because it's all about a narrator instructing innocent children into making very uninnocent crafts that look like garbage. While the narrator insists that these are puppets, these are very clearly crappy paper dolls which are being passed off as puppets to these unassuming kids who don't know any better. I mean, look, I know that technically any movable model that is used in entertainment is a puppet, but come on. Literally just moving your bare hand around makes a better puppet than these things.
ACI, our films technically count as drugs.
Dawn of the Puppets. Flower puppets are easy for even the slowest kids to operate.
That's great, kid. It looks like a Christmas tree took a dump.
A body made entirely of paper or cardboard may be painted and then fastened to a stick.
Hey, she's making Krang.
Heavy fabric, such as felt, can be shaped to make puppet heads.
And this woman's sleeves.
Start by
Yeah, who needs real friends when you can make your own?
add ears, eyes, manes, and other features in a variety of ways.
Help yourself to Mom's jewelry.
And many kinds of materials can be glued to the surface to create a puppet character.
Make sure your scissors look rusty and murdery.
Puppet heads may be assembled from all kinds of objects.
But garbage works
Even
best.
a small box can be if you use your imagination in finding objects to add for features.
You know, I never thought I'd get excited about puppets, but this narrator's enthusiasm is really infectious.
A papier-mâché head is started by making a neck piece of heavy paper.
Well, actually, it starts with being a lonely shut-in. The neck thing is technically step 2.
A sheet.
If the puppets couldn't get any sadder, they start making puppets out of paper and sawdust, and they look about as good as you'd think they do from that description. All the faces that result from these unholy creatures are genuinely bizarre. Like, what kid would actually make this thinking it looked cute or cool or fun? Then they're encouraged to add additional crap to the puppets, which don't help a single teeny tiny little bit. If anything, it makes them far, 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 far worse than I could possibly imagine.
Yep.
When 5 or 6 layers have been built up, the head is set aside to dry and harden.
6 to 8 months ought to do it. In the meantime, avoid making emotional connections with other people.
Torn pieces of paper toweling are put on last to give the head a finished surface.
Use Bounty brand towels to absorb extra soles.
After the head is dried thoroughly, it is painted with tempera.
Only Dickensian gutter orphans use acrylic.
Surrender the dark crystal, Gelfling!
Here, other materials are added to papier-mâché.
Build a fully functioning puppet music hall. Become Puppet Bob Fosse.
When wheat paste has been added, the sawdust will hold together, making it easier to model.
Try to fathom the boredom that led to that discovery. Go ahead, I dare you.
I'm going to Vegas. I'm going to be a showgirl. Oh yeah, the elderly afro look is very hot this season. There you go, what every child wants, a puppet tribute to Phyllis Diller in her prime.
The costume can be finished by sewing the sides together.
Yep, sure. Sounded like she was going to say something else. ACI rule number 1, never let your viewer feel comfortable.
If you wish to add legs to your puppet, make a complete figure of cloth.
And if you wish to make sure your puppet will never leave you, do not give it legs. Guys, it's looking at me.
I don't think any of us feel safe at this point, Bill. Please, don't look.
Every puppet.
While the content of the short gets as ugly as all get out, the riffs are great, as you'd imagine with an ACI short, and it earns itself a 4 out of 5.
Many times.
You know, one moment you're riding high, the next you're watching a kid make sawdust mud in real time. You were right, Sheryl Crow. Every day really is a winding road.
Number 232, A Case of Spring Fever, from October 23rd, 2014.
And when you stop to think about it, even the ground, the earth is like a huge spring.
Ugh, this is worse than when he quit eating gluten and wouldn't shut up about it.
And here we are with a redo of one of the most classic shorts in the MST3K library, A Case of Spring Fever. Originally covered in episode 1012, Squirm, it was then recovered by the RiffTrax crew as part of the Sharknado live show in July of 2014. This short has such a reputation it really doesn't need me to recap it, but I'll do my best. We open with Gilbert, a grouchy old man fixing the couch for his wife. Unhappy with the work, he makes one offhanded complaint about never wanting to see a spring again in his life. Instantly, a tiny animated living spring named Coily shows up to make this man's life a living hell for this one relatively minor complaint by removing all springs everywhere in the world to teach him just how important springs are. Much like Mr. Paper Bag taught little Willie the same lesson, just with paper.
I'm sorry, but Gilbert won't be able to play with you boys till later this afternoon.
What's eating him, Mrs. Grape?
He's doing so.
I hope I never see another spring as long as I live. Okay, mister, I'll fix it so you get that wish.
Can I have some time to scream first?
Who are you?
Well, gee, while I had his attention, I really should have had him do something about Hitler. Who even cares about springs when you're rocking a GQ cover wardrobe like this?
No springs!
Will this affect my DVD of Hope Springs starring Tommy Lee Jones?
No springs!
Oh, I hate it when my windows shatter because they're not made of springs.
No springs, my friend! No springs!
But when will a young man's fancy lightly turn to thoughts of love?
After learning his lesson in what must be record time for all educational shorts in recorded history, Gilbert convinces Coily to bring springs back by asking just once. Coily immediately acquiesces to Gilbert's request, and Gilbert goes off to play golf with his buddies with the love of springs now deeply embedded in his heart. How deeply embedded is it? Deep enough that he spends the entire day spreading the good word of Coily to everyone in his life. So much so that I don't think I've ever met a person with such an intense belief as Gilbert's newly found belief in the importance of springs.
Meanwhile, Cubert is happily bouncing around without any snakes to bother him.
No springs! Oh, gee, Coily, I didn't realize what I was wishing.
My face is too huge to think clearly about anything.
Isn't there anything I can do? Please let me take back my wish. Well,
It'll cost you a night with your wife.
the scientific principle of a spring is to absorb energy and then to release it. That's all there is to it.
Oh, is that right? Who is this guy and where'd he come from?
No idea. I'm calling security. Our golf ties are worthless.
Nice shot. Yes, it was.
Coily be praised.
If it wasn't, why, I could name thousands of everyday uses for springs. Don't bother.
Springs. They'll make your friends hate you.
Until lately, it's got a set of shock absorbers on the wheels that depend on heavy springs controlled by a hydraulic arrangement. When the ship lands, the
Springs allow him to show them this footage with his mind.
Spiral coil springs and the knee action in front Balance the weight of the car with soft leaf springs in the rear.
It's unbelievably smooth.
On an even keel. And the special springs under the car all combine to give us a ride that can't be topped.
And thanks to springs, we'll never need seatbelts.
Don't say it. Don't ever wish anything like that as long as you live.
Spread my dark gospel across the land.
The RiffTrax take on this mystery science classic, while not quite as strong as the original version, is definitely a welcome addition into the shorts library, and it earns a 4 out of 5.
This guy could use a pep talk from his life coach, Norman.
Number 233, Warty the Toad, from November 7th, 2014.
But Warty kept looking at his warts, his skin, his black jewel-like eyes. He just ignored
Like the narrator is
butterfly.
even more into
The
Warty than
hognose
Warty
snake
is.
coming to eat you.
Here we have quite the common trope of an educational short. That being a bunch of stock footage of flora and fauna that's given a random narrator who attempts to string together a flimsy story meant to teach a lesson to impressionable young children. In this case, it's a lesson about hubris. We start with a bunch of animals and insects living near a pond, with a father toad just absolutely stoked that his son will be born soon, and that he'll be the ugliest toad ever. I guess even parents in the animal kingdom have unrealistic expectations of their kids, huh? After some time, Warty is born, and he's immediately hailed by all the toads as a very ugly boy, while all the other animals are pretty unimpressed. All except the snake, who wants to eat him. Warty, having been puffed up literally since before he was born, truly believes he's God's gift to toaddom, and brags about himself to all his neighbors.
Warty the Toad. When Mr. Toad's troubled nephew Warty comes to town, his ride gets a little too wild.
The toad announced, "A very special toad is going to be born soon.
Special or air quotes special?
His egg, he will be here soon.
Then you'll all pay.
He is now a tadpole deep in the waters of the pond."
He has 900 brothers
The
and
animals
sisters,
looked
but to
very
hell with
closely.
them.
Then one morning, the old toad excitedly announced, "He has left the pond, and here he is."
Behold Wartificus, the terrible and magnificent!
"He sure is ugly," the butterfly said. "What's his name?" "Warty," said the old toad.
Can't believe we hadn't used that name before, really?
The mother toads were especially proud.
Yep, that's the look of pure pride.
He was mighty pleased.
I feel ugly, oh so ugly.
"He's so ugly, I'd just love to eat him," the hognose snake thought to himself.
Hognose snakes are
But
the Jeffrey
I can
Dahmers of
wait
nature.
until he grows. He was busy growing, getting bigger and bigger.
He became one of those P90X weirdos and survived entirely on muscle milk and creatine.
Warty was a very, very happy toad.
I'm crying inside, folks.
"Hey, Frog," he said, "I'll bet you're really sad having to jump around all the time instead of being able to sit like a lump on a log like I do."
Whatever you say, man, just
Not
don't
exactly.
eat me!
Warty ends up going full narcissist, doing nothing but looking at his reflection in the pond day in and day out. Meanwhile, the snake has decided to spend his birthday having some hot, fresh Warty for dinner. Thankfully, the snake spoke his plans to himself aloud for some reason, allowing the turtle to hear his murder idea. Turtle, knowing he's too slow to get to Warty in time, starts a chain of warnings from animal to animal to get to Warty before the snake can. The butterfly warns Warty to leave his reflection to get away, but Warty literally could not care less until the butterfly utilizes his braggadociousness and uses the word beautiful to describe how he'd look in the snake's stomach. Much like Gilbert with Springs, Warty learns his lesson in mere moments after one singular incident and goes on to appreciate his beautiful ugliness internally from then on.
Warty began spending almost all his time looking at himself.
I'm sorry, Warty, you have advanced Kardashianitis.
The turtle said, "You can't just think about yourself and nothing else, Warty." "Oh, yes, I can," said Warty.
So, joint biblical
The
plague, Warty?
grasshopper said, "Happy birthday to me."
Another year older.
Happy
Better
birthday
start
to
talking
me.
like I've suffered and
I
had
deserve
trauma.
something special for lunch.
Oreo Madness at
No,
TGI
let me-
Fridays.
"Oh, yes," whispered the snake to himself softly. but loud enough for the nearby turtle to hear.
My hearing aid helped.
I know what will suit me for a birthday treat. A toad. But not just any toad. It will be Warty.
Is a high-stepping musical number about to start? Ta-da-ta-da-ta-ta!
You can jump faster than I can crawl.
Gamera would be ashamed of
and
me.
warn him. Sure thing, Turtle. The grasshopper jumped as fast as he could.
Defying the vicious stereotype perpetuated by ants.
And the frog jumped to the butterfly.
Or was dropped
The
by a
hognose snake
production
is going
assistant,
to make a
whichever.
birthday treat out of Warty. Everyone always knew where Warty was.
Suspiciously close to the nearest
Just as the
brothel.
butterfly landed, it hide fast. But Warty just kept looking at his round body, his short, stubby legs, his long, sticky tongue. And he kept ignoring the butterfly.
Even Narcissus thought it was weird.
If you don't get out of here, you're just going to be a beautiful big bulge inside a hognose snake's stomach.
Like a partial toad snake
Beautiful
turducken.
bulge? No, thank you. And Warty hopped away just in time.
To escape that snake on Quaaludes.
I'm your friend, aren't I?
I better be.
You're
I just
right,
saved your
Warty.
warty ass.
I must stop admiring my wonderful, ugly self and be more aware of what's going on around me.
Answer the friend question, damn
Is
it!
that what you learned today? Even though Warty still believed he was more wonderfully ugly than anything else alive, he never said it again.
He let his vanity eat him from within like a cancer.
And he only looked...
I hadn't seen this short in I don't know how long, and I forgot how enjoyable it was. And it earns itself a 4 out of 5.
Well, the lesson here is confidence in your appearance may lead to your death. Keep that damn self-esteem in check, kids.
Number 234, At Your Fingertips, Play Clay from November 21st, 2014.
You can shape an animal by laying it over a roll of paper to dry.
I assume he means a clay animal, not a real animal.
And here we are with another steaming slice of ACI madness all in the same episode. And this time it is a member of the At Your Fingertips series. Of course it follows the exact same format as most ACI shorts do. A narrator omnisciently watching over a few latchkey kids as they make crafts. At least this time the kids are using a material that's commonly used for crafting and creating. But don't let your guard down yet. While clay may be used as a beautiful tool in the hand of certain potters, these kids are most certainly not those potters, with most of their sculptures coming out as lumpy, bumpy, and just plain weird, with soulless, hollow eyes.
Here's how it looks.
1 cup of salt.
Roughly the same amount you'll find in a can of Campbell's soup.
1 cup of water.
Yeah, more or less.
These poor children have a measuring disability. No,
It's
that's
my-
Cindy.
Come on,
Let's
you
do it.
guys!
Sure.
I never get to do
Don't.
anything.
You're gonna
I
I'm
do
gonna
put the
tell
salt
Mom.
in.
Ah!
You're not my boss, shut up.
Homemade clay is a happening scene, a psychedelic, groovy soft machine.
Homemade clay is far out.
We're gonna have a clay in.
Store it in the refrigerator, and it will be on hand when you want to make a clay figure.
Which for me is like every day.
Sure.
Plastic wrap keeps
Just scratch out his eyes here because he disobeyed me.
And here's how it looks once an adult took over.
Bootleg Madeline figurines are a billion-dollar industry in China.
Make things from clay, such as seals.
The short meanders on with the children creating more animals and some jewelry along the way, because if there's two things the ACI shorts love to have kids make, it's animals and wearable trash. Honestly though, it doesn't get anywhere near as weird as the other entries in the At Your Fingertips series. I mean, can you get much weirder than fancy headdresses made of grass and robot kites made of cylinders? I don't think so. And as an additional note, if this short strikes your fancy and you've yet to see it in full, RiffTrax recently put the whole thing up on their YouTube channel for free, so check it out when you're done with this video.
I'm playing with clay, but what do I call it?
Play, clay, play.
if the clay.
Formal soundtrack reminding us that inbred 18th century aristocrats love to play with clay.
Oh, dear.
Yes, make the most obscene thing ever with play clay.
You can thread soft yarn to make a necklace.
You can, but you probably shouldn't. We're not recommending it, mind you, just saying it's a quantum possibility of a thing that a person could do.
Got it.
Though probably shouldn't.
Got it.
Yes, child, put me on.
At least it's not made of grass this time.
Form a clay California and cackle with glee as its infrastructure crumbles.
Add a tail to your creation. Oh, did I say creation? I meant abomination. It's the gift that says to your adopted mother, I'll one day seek out my birth parents.
Now let's just smother this before it starts issuing you commands.
Plastic spray or a coat of shellac on both sides will keep your clay sculpture strong and bright.
Strong and bright, two things you will never be after breathing plastic spray fumes.
Eat it, buddy. Come on, eat it. Oh, God, I'm so alone.
While it doesn't get quite as out there or dark as the others in the series, the riffs here are still fantastic, and this one earns a 4.5 out of 5.
Once you've finished, really reflect on how you've spent the last hour. It'll be a clarifying moment in your life.
Number 235, The Frustrating Fours and Fascinating Fives, from December 12th, 2014.
Fives can play together much better.
Seen here.
Of course, when you want something, the master of
While I don't have any children myself, I'm the oldest of 4 girls, so I've seen the process of kids growing up a few times for myself. And that's what this short's all about, but just a snippet of 2 years' worth of growth. This short focuses on Roddy, starting the short at 4 years old. This short is very blunt in terms of describing how difficult and frustrating raising a 4-year-old can be, especially your first one. It shows Roddy struggling to get ready for the day and follows him to preschool where we can see other 4-year-olds and their similar issues and growing pains. Honestly, any of us with siblings like me or any of us that were public schooled unlike me need to really appreciate our parents and teachers for putting up with all of us at once and not just surreptitiously placing us on the black market when they had the chance.
And the morning is bound to bring some mother tries to inspire him.
It's like Leave It to Beaver meets The Ring.
Look at the pictures, dear. Mommy wants to sleep.
Mommy accidentally doubled up on her Ambien.
No matter what her aunt, so often needing Mommy's help.
Give that back, Mom. I was just about to read Ask Oedipus.
Conclusion. Down at last, but with only one shoe. Whatever did he do with the other one? Dropped it, left it, lost it.
Let some old lady and her kids move into it.
But he can do when he wants to. Perhaps more than anything else, this inconsistency is the most annoying to parents.
Though his ridiculous hat is a close second.
There is no point trying to beat it out of him. Father simply talks about something nice that will happen at school.
The important thing is he considered the beating.
It's only a stage, the experts say.
The My God, I've sired human garbage stage, it's called.
Playing house with child equipment leads to practice in the social graces, rather bluntly expressed at 4. You can't come in. 4s give no quarter.
I'll put you down so hard you'll think it's nap time, fool.
Now pat your head, Mark, and down you go.
Mark.
They need lots of time
to do some things not pictured.
She said she's glad he's having fun and learning to get along well with other children.
Maybe a little too well for the 1940s.
Ronnie, turn off the radio.
Mother now uses desperate measures.
You come away
Granny
from
is
that
authorized tasing, but Mom will start off with some light Krav Maga.
away from that radio.
No! Stinker! You bum, you stinker! Dirty bum! Stinker!
4-year-olds naturally curse like 1920s baseball hecklers.
Granny thinks he should be old enough not to hog everything. She tries to reason with him.
Don't make me bring the pain, dear.
But they also deal by observing.
Sometimes Mother thinks about pushing him right into the... But no, mustn't have those thoughts.
It's fun to go with them as they learn to be independent. And back again to baby dependent.
Yes, it's fun to watch your child smash his face open.
Roddy eventually grows into 5, and is suddenly much easier to deal with on a daily basis. After having a pleasant breakfast with his parents, though, Roddy discovers their pet bird Timmy dead in his cage. The parents attempt to explain it to him and comfort him, and he's immediately off to school grinning like his first experience with death never even happened. Getting to school, we see that all the kids are grown, and while they can still fuss, they're much easier to wrangle than 4s. So I guess it was worth holding out on that black market trip after all. That night, though, Roddy is given unsupervised access to his dad's workbench and gets into the nails he knows he's not supposed to touch. And I'm sorry, but the whole incident in the short is put on Roddy's inability to follow instructions, and not on his parents for allowing him free roam of a room with nails and saws within arm's reach of their 5-year-old. Regardless, the message of the short seems to be that while 4-year-olds are little monsters, it's worth putting up with them to see them grow into somewhat less monstrous 5-year-olds.
I can't emphasize seems enough.
5. Roddy's age, but also how many commies he's turned into Senator McCarthy.
His whole figure is more compact and coordinated.
He claims it's from exercise, but steroid rumors persist.
The anticipation and fun of calling Daddy each morning is important to him.
Daddy, time for breakfast.
Don't make me come up there.
The old joke with the empty eggshell is really more enjoyable than a new one.
Sometimes they fill the shell with venomous spiders just to keep Mom on her toes.
Mother, of course, pretends complete surprise.
Holy
Roddy's off for his morning visit to the cannery. What's the matter? Timmy is dead.
Died of shame at being named Timmy.
His questions should be honestly answered.
Did Timmy die because I'm bad?
Yes, dear.
He
Very
accepts
bad.
the truth. A few minutes later, he's off happily to school.
belly full of
He goes
fresh
by
roasted
himself
Timmy.
and enjoys the independence. He loves to play at being a baby.
In time, it will lead to his resignation from the U.S. Senate.
But they respond now quite quickly, even to mothers of their own age.
It's just another day at Marty McFly Elementary.
They're pleased with a job well done.
I am pleased.
Those are the nails Daddy said not to touch.
Roddy's about to uncover Daddy's collection of canary mummies.
Girl, he's making a delicious nail salad.
The secret ingredient is love. And nails.
He's certainly pleased with his masterpiece. Did he put everything back?
After building Android Timmy?
Dad's exasperation is justified, and he carries through his punishment. Roddy is forbidden to use the bench for the rest of the week.
After which he'll resume his unsupervised play with dangerous tools.
Where does milk come from?
Oh, God, I've been drinking the discharge of this hideous beast? Oh.
How does it get in bottles?
Why does Roddy have the milkman's eyes?
His capacity to learn seems boundless.
I can't
He
emphasize
thrives on
seems
encouragement
enough.
and stimulation from it because the 5s are fascinating.
Some restrictions apply. Side effects include ruckuses, mixed up nails, pretending to enjoy knock-knock jokes, and the occasional dead bird. Ask your doctor if 5-year-olds are right for you.
This short, while kinda light on actual advice, is pretty dang heavy with great jokes from our guys, and I'm giving this one, appropriately enough, a 4 out of 5.
But those little annoyances are forgotten when Dad and Roddy take a trip to the roundhouse.
Goodbye forever,
Excursions
son.
are very important.
As always, thank you all so much for watching, and special thanks to my incredible Patreon supporters, including Jackie Ball, Kevin Nata, and Isabella Summit. I think we had a great round of shorts this time out. I mean, with 2 doses of ACI madness, you can never go wrong. My next review is going to be of Mystery Science Theater's Hamlet, so be looking forward to that one, as well as all my future live streams. I've been having an absolute blast with them, and I'm so glad you guys are too. Thanks again, and I'll see you guys later.
It's time for RiffTrax.